In the bustling city of Riverview, nestled among sleek skyscrapers and vibrant neighborhoods, there lay an old, rundown four-bedroom house on Maple Street. For 5 long years, best friends Lily and Mark, along with their 5 energetic children, called it home. The rent was a modest $400 per week, frozen by the sweet old lady who owned it, a woman as kind as she was wealthy. She had promised to sell the house to them once they saved enough for a loan, a plan that felt like a fairy tale, yet had become their reality. Days turned into years as they scraped together every penny, freshening up the tired old kitchen and managing the ever-stinking drains, hoping to one day own the place that they had made into a home. They poured their lives into it, painting walls, planting flowers, and transforming a humble abode into a vibrant family haven, filled with laughter and love. And finally, the day arrived. They had enough savings to make the purchase official. But suddenly, fate took a cruel turn. Just 2 days after they expressed their readiness to buy, the delightful lady passed away, leaving their dreams hanging like autumn leaves on bare branches. Enter the L family, heirs to the lady's estate. 4 affluent children, each with their own pockets lined with cash, arrived with promises of continuity, yet their motives were shrouded in greed. They assured Lily and Mark they would still honor the sale, but with a twist. The price would increase by a staggering $80,000. Lily's heart sank as the news spread like wildfire. With the house set to be listed on the open market in just a week, their chances of securing their beloved home dwindled. They desperately attempted to secure a loan, but the reality of their situation was bleak. If they lost this house, finding another rental that could accommodate their large family would be nearly impossible. Anxiety twisted in their stomachs as they hurriedly sought solutions, while the L family gleefully prepared to profit from their greed. It was a moment of vulnerability, but in darkness, a spark of determination ignited within Lily. No one would take away her family's home without a fight. Though they seemed powerless against the wealthy heirs, she decided to take action, wanting to turn their situation around before the open house destroyed their dreams. She called upon their dear friend Dave, a tenacious strategist with a devilish sense of humor and a knack for mischief. As the sun dipped low, casting shadows through the cracked windows, Lily and Mark brainstormed with Dave over cups of strong coffee. Inspired by their camaraderie and shared frustration, they conjured a plan so outrageous yet brilliant that it ignited hope in their hearts. They would turn the open house into a spectacle that no potential buyer could ignore, an overwhelming, chaotic, and unforgettable experience that would focus on all the house's flaws instead of its potential. "Let's make it memorable for all the wrong reasons," Dave chuckled, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. Together, they would create a whirlwind of clever distractions geared at ensuring everyone who stepped foot inside would leave with their noses wrinkled in disgust. Ignoring their budding fears, they devised a strategy that involved friends, neighborhood alliances, and plenty of stinky theatrics. As dawn approached, a mischievous excitement buzzed between them. The open house wouldn't just showcase a property. It would showcase a nightmare that would linger in the memories of all who dared to view it. They prepared to plunge headfirst into a whirlwind of sabotage, determined to ultimately reclaim what belonged to them, their home. With a daring glint in her eye, Lily faced her friends, her heart pounding. "Let's show them what we can do. We'll make their greed our strength. Let's turn this house into the most undesirable property Riverview has ever seen." And so, their journey of revenge began. Little did they know, the battle to come would not only shake the L family, but also strengthen their bond, test their grit, and lead them toward an unexpected twist that none could foresee. In the stillness of the night, beneath the shimmering stars, hope and defiance intertwined, paving the way for an unconventional showdown bound to unfold in the days to come. In the stillness of the night, beneath the shimmering stars, hope and defiance intertwined, paving the way for an unconventional showdown bound to unfold in the days to come. With their ambitious plan set in motion, Lily, Mark, and Dave sprang into action as the dawn broke over Riverview. Their first task was to gather a small army of friends, neighbors, and like-minded spirits who were willing to help turn the open house into a chaotic spectacle. They quickly formed a tight-knit coalition of supporters. Jerry from next door, a burly man with a booming laugh, and Sally, a neighbor with a mischievous smile and a fondness for all things pranking, were among the first to join the ranks. As they assembled in Lily's cluttered living room, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and nervous energy. "Let's brainstorm ideas," Dave suggested, his eyes gleaming with mischief. What can we do to make this place truly unforgettable, preferably in the worst possible way? Sally chimed in. How about we make it smell awful? Nothing scares buyers away like a bad odor. But we need to make it look legitimate. The room erupted in laughter, and as ideas began to flow, so did the strategists. They decided to send out a personal invitation to the most notorious local bikers, making sure they were fully aware of the open house. Imagine a sea of loud, revving motorcycles outside, along with a barbecue. It'll feel like a neighborhood party gone wrong, laughed Jerry, slapping his knee. Meanwhile, as the party plan solidified, Mark and Lily worked on the less appealing side of their plot, disguising the house's issues as much as they could to reveal its innate flaws and discouraging any potential buyers. They rummaged through their storage and collected furniture that was either too bulky or simply outdated. Old, faded couches and mismatched dishes came together to create an uninviting atmosphere. On the day of the open house, Lily's plan went into motion with meticulous precision. She filled the kitchen with the foul smell of boiled cabbage, reminding her of childhood meals gone wrong. I'll even mix in some ammonia for good measure, she joked, an exasperated smile on her face. Mark, though nervous, couldn't help but chuckle as he watched the transformation of their beloved home into a chaotic decor of bizarre contrasts. They prepped their unwelcome committee, a bunch of friends who would be strategically positioned at the entrance to greet potential buyers, but not in the warm, inviting way you'd expect. Swaths of old motorcycle memorabilia adorned the walls inside, alongside road signs and odd knickknacks, all contributing to an overwhelming sense of clutter and disarray. As the clock ticked closer to the open house hour, the excitement thickened in the air. Their neighbors set out to create a lively atmosphere outside, cranking the barbecue grill while a few of the bolder bikers revved their engines, drawing curious glances from the street. The stage was set. When the doorbell rang, signs of impending chaos unfurled as a new couple stood outside, reluctance etched on their faces. The moment they stepped inside the house, their expressions soured as the acrid smell struck their nostrils like a rogue wave. The odd decor and overwhelming scent filled their senses almost immediately, the reality of the house crashing down around them like a tidal wave. We were just passing by, and, the husband stammered, looking at his wife, who was already shaking her head in disgust. With an awkward glance around the disarray, they quickly retreated, muttering something about needing to check out other options. The door swung shut, echoing their swift departure. As the waves of laughter echoed from outside, Lily and Mark exchanged glances filled with a mix of satisfaction and disbelief. Their plan was actually working. The next group of potential buyers approached, and as they were greeted outside by a clenching haze of barbecue smoke and raucous laughter, they raised eyebrows and exchanged words of uncertainty, stepping gingerly through the threshold. With each passing minute, more people trickled away, unable to endure the cacophony of bad smells and overwhelming sounds, all while their neighbors rallied around the barbecue, celebrating their impending success. But it wasn't only the potential buyers that they had to worry about. The Elf family's agents were on site, watching the whole scene unfold. They lingered in the background, expressions of annoyance creeping in as they witnessed the chaos unfurl. Caught in the spiral of their elaborate prank, Lily and Mark didn't realize the power struggle emerging. It was more than just trying to ward off buyers. It had turned into a battlefield of wills, a war against the greed and entitlement of the Elf family. They were determined to thwart whatever plans the wealthy heirs had, but amidst the chaos, something extraordinary began to unfold. Just as a particularly loud motorcycle revved its engine, attracting even more attention from curious neighbors and onlookers, a figure emerged from the crowd. A tall woman with fiery red hair and an air of confidence stepped forward, her presence commanding attention. She was Alex, a fierce real estate lawyer and longtime resident of the neighborhood, known for her outspoken advocacy for families struggling against wealthier counterparts. Lily glanced at Mark, confusion swirling in her thoughts. What could a real estate lawyer want with the open house? But as the woman broke into a dazzling smile, she confidently approached Lily. I couldn't help but notice the aggressive tactics at play here, Alex said, her eyes sparkling with intrigue. You're quite the strategist. Care for an ally. With determination burning brighter than ever, and unexpected alliances forging amidst chaos, they suddenly found themselves not just fighting for their home, but potentially gaining an unexpected partner in their quest for justice. The stage was set for an even larger confrontation, and the battle lines were blurring, shifting the stakes higher as they prepared for the showdown against the greedy elf family and their cohort, leaving the very air charged with anticipation of what was to come. With determination burning brighter than ever and unexpected alliances forging amidst chaos, Lily and Mark suddenly found themselves not just fighting for their home, but potentially gaining an unexpected partner in their quest for justice. "Can I count on your help?" Lily asked Alex, who had swiftly assessed the situation with a discerning glance. Her piercing green eyes sparkled with mischief, mirroring the resolve that churned in the pit of Lily's stomach. "Absolutely," Alex said, crossing her arms with a determined expression. "I've faced off against entitled families before, and I know the games they'll play to make you back down. They are banking on intimidation, and they won't expect a united front. But to make this work, we need to get a little louder." As they exchanged ideas, Alex drew the group closer. "Our fight isn't just about keeping you in your home. It's about preventing these kinds of underhanded tactics against anyone in our community. If they think they can control the local market like this, it needs to end now," she declared, her voice firm and steady. Before the end of the open house, Alex suggested a plan to their coalition of friends. They would escalate the chaos, not just for show, but to raise their voices collectively against the greed and entitlement represented by the elf family. Each friend was assigned a specific task: spread the word of this blatant attempt to gazump, showcase the problems in the house, and make sure that anyone considering buying knew the truth. The next day, as Lily prepared for the following weekend's open house, tension mixed with excitement coursed through her veins. The community was ready to rally around this fight, gaining momentum from its earlier successes. The elf family had no idea just how much they had underestimated the tenets they aimed to push out. Throughout the week, Alex helped gather evidence of the elf family's deceptive practices, texts, emails, and even recorded conversations where the heirs discussed their plan to raise the price. They built a case thick enough to send a statement that they would not allow the situation to continue unchecked. On the day of the next open house, Lily and Mark could barely contain their nerves as they watched their friends transform the property once more. This time, strategic chaos was planned on a grander scale, aiming to showcase the house's flaws while sticking a proverbial finger to the elf family. With Alex overseeing the process, they felt an unwavering confidence. This was no longer just a defense, it was a public rallying cry. The morning of the open house dawned bright and clear, as bikes roared to life and friends gathered around the grilling meat, waving at those who passed by as families filled the street. No longer just a spectacle, it was a full-fledged barbecue party. Banners were hung up strategically inviting residents to stand against greed, while sharing the unfortunate plight of the tenants. The noise echoed through Maple Street, drawing in a curious crowd eager to understand the commotion. As people began to trickle into the house, its stench of boiled cabbage remained ever present, while laughter filled every corner of the property. Once again, the decor was a hodgepodge of disorganization, but this time, it came with a twist. Notes were left around highlighting issues like the plumbing problems and the countless repairs needed. Hidden behind these notes were heartfelt anecdotes from the families that had occupied the house, showcasing how it had become not just an address, but a home filled with memories, a stark contrast to the greed-driven motives of the elf family. Visitors read the signs with growing concern. "Did you know the owners wanted to raise the price just so they could profit off the memories we made here?" one sign read. Another promised, "If you purchase this home, you're enabling a family to be evicted for profit." With each declaration, the sentiment shifted, and buyers began to distance themselves from the home. They had come curious, but they left conflicted and aware. But as laughter echoed, a shadow loomed near the entrance. The elf family had arrived, clearly not pleased with the unfolding chaos. Smirking behind their sunglasses, they whispered amongst themselves, their previous confidence now shaken by unexpected opposition. Stepping out confidently from behind the crowd, Alex confronted them directly. "You want to play games? We're ready for you," she announced, her voice cutting through the chatter like a hot knife through butter. "Your little gathering is amusing, but it won't change the reality. This house is ours now," the eldest of the heirs replied, his condescension dripping from his words. "We'll see about that," Alex said, her eyes unflinching. "You seem to forget that you aren't the only ones with resources." The more you push, the stronger our resolve becomes. The air crackled with tension as the crowd turned attentive, their voices growing quieter in the presence of confrontation. A murmur spread, curiosity mingling with concern. Who would win? The entitled heirs, accustomed to getting their way, or the determined community rallying to protect their own? With each passing moment, it became clearer that the Elf family hadn't anticipated the flood of community support or the power behind collective action. As supporters chimed in with stories of their experiences in the neighborhood, it solidified their resolve against the corrupt ways of the Elf family, creating a united front. Realizing that they were losing control of the narrative, the Elf family retreated to their cars, expressions of rage and disbelief etched on their faces. The battle was far from over, but as Lily watched them leave, she felt an unfamiliar sense of empowerment swell within her. They were no longer just victims of greed. They were crusaders for justice, a community ready to fight tooth and nail for what was right. In the days following that fateful confrontation, gossip spread throughout Riverview, and discussions filled the air about the Elf family's recent purchase and their uncalled-for actions. The once feared family seemed like the underdogs now, as their reputation began to tarnish, while Lily and her friends' efforts to protect their home took on a life of its own, gaining momentum each day. With newfound unity and purpose, Lily, Alex, and their friends began plotting their next moves, determined to turn the tides for good. The next chapter was bound to be even more profound, a realization of what can happen when a community stands strong together. The walls around their beloved home now seemed less like a prison and more like a fortress, fortified by camaraderie and shared strength, ready to face whatever storm the Elf family dared to send their way next. With newfound unity and purpose, Lily, Alex, and their friends began plotting their next moves, determined to turn the tides for good. The walls around their beloved home now felt less like a prison and more like a fortress, fortified by camaraderie and shared strength, ready to face whatever storm the Elf family dared to send their way next. As the community rallied together, they organized meetings at the local community center to strategize their plan. Flyers circulating around Riverview invited residents to join the fight against corporate greed and promote the upcoming Protect Our Neighborhood rally. The enthusiasm was palpable as neighbors, once merely acquaintances, grew into a fierce family bonded by a common cause. Alex worked tirelessly, connecting with local influencers and media representatives who were sympathetic to the plight of small communities against the encroachment of wealthy investors. Word was spreading, and the Elf family was starting to realize that their actions were drawing unwanted attention. The tide was turning, and they found themselves painted as the villains in a story the local populace was eager to support. One evening, under the soft glow of twinkling lights on the community center's porch, Lily stood in front of her friends and neighbors, her nerves softened by the unity surrounding her. "It's not just our home we're fighting for," she declared, her heart racing with emotion. "It's the integrity of our community, for everyone who has lived here and loved this place. Together, we can show them that greed doesn't stand a chance against the power of community." The rally day arrived with a vibrant spirit coursing through Riverview. Banners displaying bold messages hung from every porch: "No to greed. Our homes, our dreams." The local news arrived, cameras rolling, capturing the determination etched on the faces of those who once felt powerless. Families with children, elderly couples, and young professionals gathered side by side, united by their love for their neighborhood. As the sun rose higher, Alex took the stage, her commanding presence drawing in the crowd. "This is not just the story of one family," she explained. "It's about all of us. It's about the history of Riverview, filled with laughter, memories, and lives woven together. Today, we stand to say no to those who think they can come here and buy us out." Applause erupted as she gestured to Lily and Mark, stepping forward to share their journey. "We're just one example of what can happen when people forget that homes are meant to be filled with love, not just dollars," Mark added, his voice steady. "We refuse to let our story be erased." A local musician, inspired by the energy of the crowd, stepped up with a guitar and strummed a few chords. The improvised anthem filled the air, and soon everyone was singing along, a melody of resistance rising together against the backdrop of the sun-soaked day. As the crowd gathered together, an unexpected guest made an appearance. The L family's matriarch stepped into view, flanked by a couple of their legal representatives. Their presence sent a wave of murmurs through the crowd, and the once lively atmosphere thickened with tension. "Enough of this nonsense," she exclaimed, her voice dripping with disdain. "This is my family's land. We have every right to develop it as we see fit. Don't be naive. There's nothing you can do to stop progress." But before she could continue, Lily stepped forward, bolstered by the strength of her community. "You may see this as progress, but we see you as an intruder. This isn't just land to us, it's our roots, our memories. We may not have your resources, but we have something you can never buy: our community, our hearts, and our undeniable strength." The crowd erupted in cheers, the resonance of their united voices drowning out any sense of intimidation the L family hoped to impose. Slowly, the matriarch's bravado faltered. The realization that they were no longer the ones in control sank in, her confidence waning like the sunlight in the late afternoon. As the rally continued, the stories shared reinforced the bond in Riverview, reminding each person of the love and lives that had once flourished in every corner. More residents shared their experiences, stirring passion and empathy throughout the assemblage. Some even recalled how the L family had tried to intimidate them into silence over the years, prompting a clarion call to justice. And just like that, they had awakened the spirit of rebellion in their neighborhood, a chorus of voices rising together, harmonious and resolute. With each passing moment, determination filled their hearts, burning fiercely against the encroachment of those who believed community could be bought. As dusk began to cloak the rally in shades of orange and purple, the energy transformed from one of resistance to celebration. They sang, they danced, and they forged bonds of friendship that would endure long after the call to action was made. Lily and Mark exchanged glances, pride swelling in their hearts. They realized that this battle was about much more than their home. It was about preserving the essence of a community, standing up for neighbors, and creating a legacy rooted in love. As the final notes of the rally echoed into the cool evening air, laughter and camaraderie filled the streets, the tides of change casting newfound hope. They may not have won the war yet, but they had ignited a spark, a revolution that would echo throughout Riverview and beyond. With their heads held high, they turned to leave the gathering, but not before promising to keep the fight alive, knowing that together, they had the power to reclaim what was rightfully theirs. And with that promise, the heart of Riverview pulsed with a united strength, ready to confront whatever challenges may lie ahead, a family born of resilience, community, and the unwavering power of standing together.